Welcome to the Pretty Sister Podcast. I'm so happy you're here today. This is a place of friendship and sisterhood where I want you to feel like you belong because you do. And we are bringing positivity and joy to you always. Hopefully, that's the goal. And today I've got some very fun friends. We're going to have a chat with 4 of them. Well, there's 4 of us total. If you count me, and I do count. So we're laughing already. This is going to be a hoot today. I can tell if we can get through this, because when we get together, we're silly, as all girls should be. We're just older than the ones that you would imagine as the silliest. Anyhow, let's just see if we can get through the introductions without laughing too much. I've got Katie Blanch with me. And these are my friends from high school, I'll have you know. So this has been, I don't even know if we want to report how many years we've been friends. It's a long time, over 30. And then I've got Christa Harrington. That's who? Also known as, you can do aliases. It's Christa Jean. It's Christa Jean Jellybean, actually. I'm like saying high school names. Okay, Christa Harrington. People did get married. And then but they also got divorced. Should I say September Johnson or September Smith? Whatever you want to say. September Smith now. All right. Like I said, we're going to have a lot of fun today. But the topic of today and why I brought my longtime best friends to chat with us is because we're talking about a study. In fact, it was a 3-part study done and published in Psychology Today, where they studied the characteristics of friendship and asked through, there were 3 different ways that it was done, and then they synthesized the results. And essentially we're asking, what are the characteristics of friendship that are most important to you? And then also they identified the characteristics that you don't want in a friend. And they narrowed it down to 50, which is a big number. So we aren't going to go through all 50. Thank goodness they also categorized them. So what we're going to do, and I thought this would be fun, is we're going to go through the categories of friendship, of the characteristics that were the most positive that people want. And we're going to discuss those and how they've shown up in our friendship, or how we've also raised children who have friends and how that's shown up in their lives. So that's the agenda for the day. Then we're also going to talk about the negatives. But here's the first. So these are the desirable traits in a friend. First one, who wants to guess? Does anyone want to guess?
Well, I know humor's in there.
That's what I always bring. Humor, fun.
Loyalty, respect, and that's someone that shows up for you.
Yeah. It's amazing how there really is, like they distilled it to 50 because there's so many. Trust, and there was a couple studies out there, trust shows up as a number 1 across the board. Yeah, trust and honesty is super important. But here, let's go through the categories. The first category is, and this actually, as these desirable traits, as I go through these categories, I don't think that they have these in order of the most important. They've just distilled it into categories, just so you know. But pleasant. Pleasant is the first category. So that pleasant to be. We are very pleasant, right? So pleasant these are some of the words that make up their definition of pleasant, is being positive, optimistic, smiling, kind, polite, and well-intentioned. So how have we found, let's discuss this, pleasantness. Not a word, I know that, but we're using it as one word, isn't it? Pleasantness. It is now. And it rolls off the tongue. Kindness does.
Well, I think you want to be around positive people. Like, it brings you better energy. You don't want to, it's hard to be around energy drainers all the time.
Yeah.
You want someone that is kind and pleasant and positive and it's easier to be around.
Yeah.
And we've been at friends for so long.
Right.
And so many decades that we have been through things that aren't pleasant.
Yes.
And we can do that. And then somehow we move through that and then come back to being the positive part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that's magical within this intermeshing.
Yeah.
For sure. Because that's life. There's a lot of unpleasantness in life.
Right.
And that's just what it is. So when we can do that in the mirror with those things,
yeah,
really
Well, and I think you make a good point. Life itself can be unpleasant, so we don't need to add to it with our own disposition. You know, we're already having to tackle hard things in life. So when you're coming together with friends or when you're seeking a friend, you don't want somebody to be adding to the drama or adding to the negativity. You want to be with somebody who's going to help you, you know, lift you out of it or see a different perspective or, you know, be pleasant.
And even just to smile, like I think we all light each other up. But it is so nice to come across people that are smiling because there is so much negativity and unpleasantness in life.
Yeah.
You can find that without seeking it out. So
I feel like you each have, because I went through these traits, I feel like you each have so many of these traits, but there's things that Katie or Callie or Christa have that with friendships show up for me in certain ways where I'm like, I want to be more like that. A friend that shows up in that way. And so I try and have that trait or attribute, but being the kind of friend that you want to have and I want to have be around. I mean, it can't always be pleasant all the time, but I want to be around people that are positive.
Yeah.
Bring those attributes to the table because it just makes you happy.
Right. And I just had a friend actually whose daughter was needing to kind of pick somebody to be a roommate in a travel thing. And the person who wanted to room with this daughter, or her daughter, she said she has a hard time being with her for long periods because she's negative. And so she was like, you know, wanting to not have her be roommates, go on the trip together, but not have her be roommates. And yeah, so we recognize that when somebody is showing up as a drain and a negative source, it's not fun to be around. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Smart. Smart is the next quality. I like that she's category. You know what? I don't look at you because you are an avid reader. We're all smart. But that was a joke, actually. I think I find myself very funny. So no, but you do, like, humor is a characteristic that you've always, you know, like, embraced. But I think smart is another one that you've been proud of.
yes, I definitely actively seek knowledge.
Yes.
And I like
you're sending
Just working on yourself to be better, and then you gather information and you share it with us.
Yes, you try.
Yes. Hey, no, it's a good attribute to have. It's wonderful.
You do that. Christy does that. But you send out podcasts and you're, well, like, when you find something that you enjoy learning, you're like, oh, are you listening to this? Did you read this? And we discuss it, and it brings a lot of perspective and wisdom to the friend group. I appreciate that. Did you know we're so smart? Okay, here's the other things that go with smart, though. Serious, cultivated. Who's cultivated here? No, symphony. Yes. You're going to a symphony. Yes. Reasonable, consistent, mature, and calm. Those are the things they put under smart. I wouldn't necessarily have but that probably makes sense, because if you're a mature person, if you're calm, that means you have some wisdom in being able to regulate yourself and have that kind of self-control.
There's a word in there that I really like that goes with being a good friend, especially as long as we have it consistent.
Yes.
yeah.
I really like consistent, because in order to be a good friend, you need to be consistent. You need to show up.
Well, and I know they say show up in there somewhere, because I think that is the biggest thing that we do for each other. We show up, and we know we listen to each other, and you guys have all shown up for me, and many times. So, and it's constant.
I think the showing up for somebody, honestly, is an earned, especially as you look at it, us over time. Don't you feel like you show up for somebody even more when they've shown up for you? Like, it's almost not equal to, but when you do something for someone, then people will do things back.
Yeah.
You know,
Reciprocity.
there's that reciprocity. Exactly.
For sure.
And so if you, I guess, our listeners, if you're finding that you feel like people aren't showing up for you, well, maybe ask yourself, are you showing up for them? That would be like, that's what's within your control of something that you could problem solve.
And showing up can take on different forms. It doesn't mean you're physically showing up if you can't. It means, a text or a phone call or finding out what that person showing up can be in many different levels.
Yeah. And today, my Isaac got a little upset that I was going to not come, but I'm at school. Let's say that. I'm at school all the time helping. But today I chose to not come. And when I said to him, I'm sorry, I'm not going to make it to that event that your class is doing today because I'm going for Cali. He was bummed and he looked at me and I said, who was at this event for you? Who was at this event? And he looked at me and goes, okay, Mom, go.
You burned the past.
So it's not only learned between us, but those who are around us see how we show up for one another.
Yes.
And then will allow us to be able to go do things that maybe they would have us do something different. It goes up to them, but they're like, no, support you to go do that because
You've been there.
we see that you all do this for each other. Okay, Mom, go.
But I have to add, you guys are all teaching your kids how to show up too. As
Say it's just
so, Christa showing up Thanksgiving morning with her kids in tow, and and they donned the orange jackets and went out to the corner and directed traffic and
let's say what that was for. So Katie hosts a turkey trot annually for the past 20 some odd years. 21 years. I've been midway.
Yes.
Yes. So it's an amazing. Well, you tell about
It's a 5K that we have done in the past. We've done it for charity. Now we have a foundation that serves family caregivers of Alzheimer's and dementia. It's called Linden Legacy. We offer respite grants. 100% of the proceeds from the race and any events that we do go directly back to our cause, our mission and vision. And if you have anyone that has Alzheimer's or dementia and you are currently caring for them or someone that is, go onto our website and Callie will list it after this because that is my purpose and passion in life, because as many of your listeners will know, because this is my whole theme, is I lost my mom to early onset Alzheimer's about a year and a half ago. So, but my friends all show up for me at the pumpkin patches first in the end of September, and that's a pumpkin picking event.
extravaganza. That's amazing.
Everything is about families and community and building that community and friendships. And it's at Summer House Farms in Charleston, Utah. But Callie in September, and Christa, you've shown up before too, but they take it over and they have made it. I mean, my girls make it what it is, and we turn it into fun. It's always fun. When we're together, it's
amazing.
Yeah, it's a pillow fight.
I'm going to go fights. What's wrong in parenting?
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, it's magical.
And now we just invited our kids to do this. And my daughters say, I want friends like you have. And I say, you can make friends like I have. That's what we've done. We've figured out the formula and we've been loyal. We've made our own family out of this. I feel like we have sisters. Yeah. So not to take that over. Thank you, Callie.
No, I love that because, what's important to you is important to me. And that's kind of how it has been for all of us. And then it's been also a beautiful thing because my mother now has Alzheimer's and, September's father has dementia. And so we've all gotten really involved in the cause to support it because it's something that's plaguing a lot of people, ourselves included.
Well, and if you're not a caregiver yet, you will be. Yes. So young or old, we're all going to be caregivers at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's keep going. And because we actually sort of jumped ahead because I think we are smart like that. But because the next category was honest is a top quality that you want in a friend. And that makes up some of the words are trustworthy, true, reliable. That's what we've been talking about. And decent. So let's talk about that for a second. How important is honesty in your friendships? Because that is a top quality that people want.
Every single person at this table, I trust with anything and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I could tell you anything. Not only do you listen without judgment, but you also, I trust that you're not going to go off and share with other people.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful because there's not very many people in my life that I feel now.
And you are that. And you are the team.
It's interesting because another study, I told you how this is these results were taken from 3 different studies, and I did look at them a little bit more in depth than we're going to go over today. But one of the aspects of one of the studies was that the characteristic of not sharing information, that discretion that comes with honesty, that component, because they broke it down even further, is more important to older women than younger. Which I think is interesting because
Honesty?
no, honesty and trust is important all over, but you know how each word then has kind of even some different characteristics. And so this discretion, this idea of being able to keep a secret type thing is more important as to the older people. And I think and the study kind of surmises this, but if you think about it, it makes sense because I think when you're younger, you haven't developed that quality, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a sign of maturity.
Yes,
is being able to keep confident.
Exactly. And when you're younger, that's where you get more of the gossiping and the backbiting and all of those things that as young girls are learning this, and they maybe don't understand how important it is until you've gone through it, or until you've gone through life and some hard experiences that, hate to break it to you, you're all going to go through.
And gossiping is the poison, people.
Yes.
Like, talk to the person. Don't be a part of it. I have journals for my girls. If you need to say something about one of your friends that I promise you'll get around that corner and they will be dear to you again, write it down. Write it down. Don't tell another person. Just write it down. Or you tell your mom. Yeah. Tell what I say. That's what I say to my kids. I'm like, I will be your person. I will not share with other people. If you need a sounding board,
because you do have to sometimes talk it out.
Yeah, and talk it out or write it out.
I love writing it out. So
but if you hear something, people have to be able to work through it. But don't share it. Don't spread it. Don't believe it. Don't, you can process things. But yeah, it's poison.
It is. It is poison.
And it will bite you.
It will bite you.
It's very, very hot.
But I think that's the thing that our friends do really, really well is we talk to each other about things.
Yeah.
And we don't talk about each other.
Right? No. I never truly, no one at this table or our other friends do I hear talking. Nobody calls and says, are venting to each other.
Right.
No. Okay.
We've got enough problems without that.
No, that's my life. I swear no. Life is, adds its own drama to the mix. You never know what it's going to throw at you. So why burn those bridges? Just support and love.
And while I do think we were good at it when we were young, since we have the 30 plus, there's a plus there, years of friendship experience.
37, 38.
It's closer to 40 than 30.
Yeah.
We've gotten better at it over time. So it is it made sense when I read that study and realized, oh yes, it's more valuable as you get older. The secrets are probably bigger and deeper of the scars of what's happened in life. So you treasure it more. Because one of the studies, they did a different system and they allocated people money, kind of token type thing. They monetized it so that you were buying traits, and because they wanted to because they wanted to understand and put it in an economy way that you understand, so that you can see what you value. And that's where this discretion became a higher priced commodity, because then it was saying, okay, I want it and I'll pay more for it. It's one of those luxury items, but it came after some of the more basic ones.
Interesting.
And interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll keep going on.
Take this trait.
This is trait.
Well, but that's what it is for honesty.
That's tricky. And it does become more important as you go through things in life.
Yeah.
And I've had some experiences that I've had to learn how important my own integrity is to me. And I value that above so many things.
Yeah.
So,
and once those it's not any longer that we're crying over a spilled, a stain on a shirt that someone borrowed, or they didn't return that pair of pants, or they lost it. Those are a little bit more of the dramas, not to, make things too petty, but that you're dealing with when you're younger. And then when you're older, the things you're confiding in and that you need to save spaces for are much bigger deals as you,
Of life.
That's my portrayal.
no. Yeah.
But a layer that I think all of us will say, but I'll say for here. And it goes back to just having life be life and the positive stuff too, because we'll get together and we might have something we need to hash through. We go pretty quick through the hashing and then we do the positive. But also on top of not sharing each other's discrepancies, it's a safe space, but then does it. So if I've had a problem somewhere and I need to talk to you, no one holds that space against anyone else or anything I'm doing. It's like a bounce off. It's truly just this is a space to just be like, oh my gosh, this or this or this. Okay, I'm handling that. Okay, thanks. And then we layer it positive.
Right.
And it's out the door. Like by the time we leave wherever we are, whatever that was is gone. No one harbors that. And then it's off to whatever those positive layers were that we layered with. We leave with that.
Yeah.
And no one's like,
Leave a better person.
I do shit this.
Coming back to no one wants to make you happy. Well, people are going through things that may be going on and without an end, right? Like for years they're dealing with stuff. And it's not like every time, oh, okay, what's going on? You hold space. If someone doesn't want to talk about something, you're just like, do you know what I mean? Yeah.
But that's because they've all shared with each other things and it's safe.
Yeah. Yeah, because it is.
And sharing those things outside of that.
Right. Yeah, it is kind to not want to, to respect whether or not you want to talk about something or not.
That goes with age.
It does. You learn that. Okay, here's a favorite. And I looked at you again. That's an interesting thing. See who I look at first. Humility, right? I'm looking over there for that. No. Just kidding. Just kidding. The joke. Okay. Well, here we go. This category, actually, if I could look at myself too, I would, because it's fun. Yes. But you are the yellow personality. We already established that. Like, you are the queen of fun. I like to think I'm the queen of fun, but I think you've got me beat on that. Because this is where you've got me beat. It's funny. You're way more funny than me. But good humor, comical, and active. Gosh, you're all those things.
Aww, thank you.
We all be on some of these things, girls. That's okay. But she is the yellow out of all of us.
Yeah. Oh my God.
For sure. Embarrassingly so. But
so speaking of Miss Fun, tell us about that quality. So because you're so fun and all these things, do you see it and look for it in others? Or you bring that, and so you're looking for complimentary.
I have to admit, I pick my friends based on if you laugh at me. So I don't need other people to be funny as much as I need to be funny, and I need to hear people laugh at me, which is kind of interesting. Yes. I didn't know that about myself until pretty recently, but I'm like, oh my gosh, this is why I love being around her, because I can tell my jokes are landing. My jokes are really landing. Tiffany, for one, she always laughs at me. She thinks I'm so funny. I'm like, I love you. So anyway, I think more than anything, I look for that. But I do look for openness in people. Like, they want to go have fun and they want to be. Life is so serious. It already, like, it throws so many serious things at us. Yeah. To be light and have fun with what is available is. And Katie pulls us into any adventure that she wants to do.
Yeah, that's why I was like, when you get to today we're going on like a walk and like 8 miles there. We're still walking.
Some people don't think that's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to go jump into this icy,
ocean or lake.
One crevice of water.
We're gonna lay down in the street. I hung down it.
She's like, no, just 2 minutes. I promise. But adventure, adrenaline, dopamine. Yeah, I'm a junkie. So
let's give a shout out to our friends that aren't even sitting here right now.
Susanna,
because we're all very good at. We've been very good, and I think this is parlayed into our depth. The girls' trips, the overnighters, I think everyone has a layer of
we've spent time
and
together.
Make that a priority. And so as you layer that over decades, that's a rich part of our friendship.
Yeah,
it's being fun.
Being fun and active.
And doing it together. We do it together.
Adventuring. Yeah.
I think that's fun.
We do.
Okay, so next drum roll is available. Being available. And that's a big one. No, you do though. You make yourself available, and you try like you're here instead of being at your school function.
Okay, how many things does Christa? So she's got 2 young boys. And how many things do you drive up to Midway for 1 hour just to show up? And then when we have, a dinner or an overnighter or something, or whatever it is. Susanna's good about that too. Andrea, all of our friends. But you really make an effort to even if it's just for a moment, she shows up. So
we need our friends.
Yes, we do. So available, I'm going to read this off. Be available when I need someone to talk to. That's what people want. Have time for me. Be there in difficult times. Listen to me when I have a problem. Helpful, giving, supporting, generous. Those are all the things that they've categorized in being available. So a lot of great things there that are important to friendships. And I can see where all of you girls have been crucial in that. I think that those that's highly important to when you need someone. I'm looking at you now. I'm thinking of when I moved back to Utah, and I was so sad when I learned that you were going back to school because you were not going to be available to me, and I was like crying. I'm like, I had waited 21 years. I lived on the East Coast, and I finally moved back with these dreams of we were just going to be like hanging out all the time, I guess, because I thought that maybe that's what I had missed out on for all those years away. And September says, oh, I'm going back to school. Actually, I'm not going to be available for was it 2 years? A year and a half? 1 year. It felt like 10.
but every day, all day.
Yes, every day, all day. So I had to patiently wait 1 more year to have September's availability. But I felt it.
You showed up for me. You came almost every week. You do a treatment.
I know. It was like my year of treatment. I went from never working on myself to all right, well, this is what we're doing. If this is how I will see you, I'll come.
Pass off. So, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I helped her graduate. I'd like to stay. What's on your list?
Well, and that's a way that I feel like you guys are all generous. It's not just one way. Generosity can be in sharing your talents with your friends. I mean, through the years, even when you weren't an esthetician, you were giving like massages, and you were always giving something. Yes, point with her. Like what you've always been really into giving of your time and your talents, and everyone's like that.
Very much so.
Yeah. So however we can be generous, because it isn't just
Show up in the way that you can.
Yeah, it's not just money, it's time. And
Yeah.
For sure. Can I add one on that? That's to know that I've gone most of the time at sporting activities or practices. So to have Kate saying, okay, well then fine. Where's the games? And I keep saying, I'll get you the games. I don't get her the games. And she stayed on it. So even that layer of it too, not just asking, but that it stayed on it and then shows up to my kid's football game and is down those sidelines cheering. Yeah, it was so fun.
it is so
To have one of my sisters there doing that with me because we were trying to connect, and that's just where I live. And so thank you. I mean, and that's the way to show up
in the way that you mean it.
Yeah, like this is like, well, this is where I'm going to see you. Give me this game. Let's go.
Meet you where you're at. Yeah. Because you're in this very busy season of life that we've already passed through.
But seeing, I love that. Well, and seeing all of our kids thrive in the different ways that they are, I mean, they're all doing such great things, and it's been fun to be a part of, your kids' lives at younger ages,
Again,
So
we could have them.
Another thing I think we've done really well is we've been generous in sharing whatever resources we have at our fingertips. True. Katie's had opportunities. Yes, any opportunities. So that's how we've facilitated girls' trips or boating or just anything that we like. If somebody has something, then we share it. Yeah, please. We're like, what have you got?
Your pool day at Callie's.
Yeah.
In first year.
And it was so fun to share that. And I think it's so fun for your dad to share with us, hopefully. Shout out.
And she does. And she does.
Yes.
It was very
But I think, be resourceful with your friends and, share with each other and be generous in time and all of those things.
And it really does come back to you. Generosity is something that when you practice open hands and letting things flow, it really does. It's an abundant quality, municipality. Well, thank you. That is one of the things that I think for me, it makes me feel the best. And like when I give it, it comes back.
Well, and I've watched you do that from being a young girl, and I continue to watch you do that. Like I continue to channel that because we came from very different backgrounds. You came from a background of wealth and I came from one that wasn't. And so it's like I was the one seeking it. And so I think as much as I desire to be generous and I try to be generous, I think my tendency from my childhood beliefs is to like hold on to things and to, because I didn't have it. And it's just.
I don't see you like that at all. No.
That's how you would understand it. Well, that's what I'm working on, right? Because my natural tendency was to go out and obtain because I didn't have.
Right.
And so it comes from, I've had to work through that. And you have been a big model as I've worked through it. A big example because I've watched you just be much more like, oh, it comes and it goes and it, and give and flow and it's the cycle. And so I'm always like, yes, it's the cycle and I'm in the cycle and there's like give, even though there's like that little girl in me, but I'm still like, no, that's phenomenal.
But you feel it when you do it, right? You feel how good it feels. And it is again, that reciprocity. It does come back to you, whether you want it to, if that's your goal or not. But I just feel like you feel better when everything's flowing and you're just,
Well, so we want our kids to learn that.
Yeah.
And so they learn by example always. So the more we can be generous and be giving and model that, the more they're going to be able to even create that success that I wanted to create. And I want them to create that full flow of it comes from that
space though, because I think as women, you're more prone to be a giver and to care for. And so I've had to learn to be vulnerable or safe enough, or I don't even know what the right word is, but to receive or accept and be okay. Like, it's not bad to, what are you doing? So in this space, those things are flying all the time. Giving, receiving, it's a constant here. And it's like I don't just have to be working my tail off all of the time for everyone, giving everyone everything. I can and then you give better.
when you're okay.
That's when you can do that as well. And
which a lot of women have a hard time with.
They don't like, this is why I value, like, next to my husband and my kids, my family, I value, this is like my greatest treasure. It's because, like you said, it's just like symbiotic. We're all just like giving and receiving, and because we work so hard in these friendships, I feel like it's, I don't know.
Well, and I'm glad you got emotional and said that, because it's that is the core and the reason why I'm doing this podcast and trying to send this message forth or help anyone, is because I feel like we have so much to be grateful for in our friendship. And I know you all feel the same. That as I've gotten older and looked around and associate with other women, I realize, oh, this is very special. And not everybody has this type of friendship, but everyone can. Like, you can form these friendships. You can have this sisterhood. You can be a part of our sisterhood as we discuss and talk and chat together. And you can form your own sisterhood and your own groups. You don't need to go through life alone, and you can be supported in this. It's so powerful to have good friends and to feel included.
In fact, I just thought of my new business. I'm going to sell some qualities. So if you added to this, you want to purchase some qualities.
We've been listing them here on the podcast.
Okay, speaking of, let's get all the qualities out. Okay, and the next one is ethical. And it's just ethical is just ethical. There's no other words that they have to describe that, which I think is interesting. But that's a very important characteristic. And
I don't think I could really read a friendship with someone that wasn't that.
Yeah. Stacy in the doghouse. You know, they figured it out, right?
And not, well, you have to taste. It's part of, that's part of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a standalone quality that's just very important. Okay, alike. So alike is made up of having similar preferences, having common interests, having the same value system, and staying close by. Stays close by. So that's kind of proximity.
Because I feel like we all have a basic value system and all of those things, but we don't all think this, and that's okay. And that's beautiful. But it is beautiful. We each bring something different to the table. We got different political or religious or whatever, and everybody still has something that we have enough in common that it works.
But that's one thing that's really cool about, you guys, I would add a word to that, accepting. Like, yeah, you guys are very accepting of different, ideas on, we don't ever get in political discussions or religious discussions or anything like that. We don't, well, I think it's because
I don't know. I did. I mean, not often, but we don't. But we could. We probably could handle it, even though those are very hard ones to have, because we are accepting.
Yeah.
So people do have the space to be individuals and to have their own ideas and to think differently, and we'll hear it out and be like, all right, well, you do you, and I'll do me, and we come back together.
We talked about,
But we don't talk about them to differ. We just share.
Yes, I'm glad you said fair. It's not a debate.
Yeah.
It's somebody sharing something that they think is not a debate where, well, you're wrong. It's okay.
I don't think I've ever heard any of you say that.
No,
Like I've never heard.
it's coming from a place of curiosity, seeking to understand.
Yeah.
And then just sharing points of views, and then coming out with maybe a different perspective.
I think that's a really beautiful thing about getting older too, is I want to understand things more. I want to understand different perspectives, growth, understand why someone thinks differently than me, and that's okay. I don't need to be threatened by it. I might need to take my ball and run home. I can be friends with people who think different.
Yeah, it's okay. And that does, I think, come with some maturity.
Yes, but I do think common value. You want to seek friendships with common value because you have things in common, foundational values that are going to build you up, and make you better.
Yeah,
Important.
and that's what people want. That's how they're forming friendships. Again, this is how people are forming friendships, on these things. All right, and then the next one is empathetic.
See?
So when you're empathetic, they're looking for these qualities of having cultural interest, being open-minded, having empathy, being sensitive, having a high emotional intelligence, and altruistic. So the things that fall under empathetic. I love the high emotional intelligence. Not everybody has that, but it is really nice when people do have a little bit more ability to regulate your emotions. And I think also that's one that does develop more over time. And I think also it's being developed more now out of both awareness, because emotional intelligence is being studied in so much more than it ever was in the past. And also emotions currently and presently are such a big problem, more than they ever were. Maybe they were in the past, but we didn't understand and have the ways to talk about it like we do now. So I guess it's more of a problem and more, just more.
Well, just remember that your emotions and your feelings are not the facts. So they can change, and you don't have to make a decision when you're having an emotion or you're having a feeling, or peel it back to the facts. And and the people you surround yourself with do influence the way you process information too. Think of that. Like the people that have the ability to help you through your feelings and your thoughts and your, they create a safe space for you to have those things, but then you make a decision separate from that. And that's also a process of learning too, because I feel like that's kind of what's going on, is people are having a lot of feelings, and it's okay to validate feelings, but it's also, your feelings are not everything.
No, they go. And really the process before your feelings are your thoughts. So you have a thought, which creates an emotion, and then it creates an action. And so if you can understand that,
Another great thing about getting older is being able to just sit with something. And like you said, the emotion isn't necessarily a fact. I mean, I'm going to sit with it, process it. You sent me something recently that just said, if I'm really excited about something, why am I feeling this way? And going
Backtrack it. What am I thinking about this?
trigger, track it. Yeah. What's the trigger? Also with when something makes you really happy as well. Being able to, where is this coming from? And is it true?
Yeah.
So not being reactive is, you could be a really good friend if you're not.
Yes.
You can just sit in something for a minute and let it be.
Right.
So,
And you can have control or influence that if you decide to take a look at it and up-level your thinking and change the way you're thinking about things. So, okay, really good. We could do a whole conversation about that. And we will another time. The next one is tolerant. So tolerance, that one has understanding, being compassionate, and patient.
That's kind of what we went off on a little bit ago.
yeah.
So those are
Very important qualities.
very important qualities. Patience can be a tricky one. But
We're learning that our lives.
that is, not the spring. I feel like when we were younger, it was very different because we didn't have phones. So like when you were going to meet up, remember, sometimes
I had to wait.
you had to wait. You had to wait for someone. You had to wait for someone. Whether they were showing up or not. We did a lot more waiting than we ever do now. Because now we can, you're not going to be here. We're going to move ahead. We can communicate. And so I feel like this generation now has no clue what patience looks like compared to the kind of patience.
Well, no,
Like how many times did you wait for to be picked up, like from a parent at school?
right.
Forever.
Your mom.
I know. But now, yeah. And how many of you has said to your kids when they're like so impatient after 5 minutes, I'm like, are you kidding? You have a phone. You play games on your phone or whatever you're doing at home is what you're going to do. Just do it while you wait for me. You have no idea what real waiting is like.
Capital letters. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's been 30 seconds.
So patience, anyway.
It's about you.
Yes. Okay. Here's the last but not least, girls. And that is discreet. So we kind of started with that as we lumped it in with honesty, but discreet is a whole different category. And this is where I was saying, like, it's almost one that's more valuable and you're willing to pay more for it as you get older and realize how important it is. Discreet has non-judgmental, being able to keep secret and not be jealous.
Oh, that's a big one.
That's a big one too, not being jealous. And I think that's a real problem for our younger kids who are looking at everything on social media and has everything in their face. We didn't have that experience growing up. I don't think we've dealt with jealousy much.
Well,
in our friendship.
don't waste your time being jealous. It's the easiest thing to be. And honestly, look at your own opportunities and what is available to you.
But why do you
and then go.
It's been this way here? Because that is a true thing, and I don't think that is the norm. So how are we able to foster that? Because I've had people ask me that in different ways before. And I'm like,
Here's one thought.
how did you articulate that?
This is my belief about it, and I think I've learned it.
We admire each other because it's different.
Yes, we're inspired by each other. It's like, what somebody's doing is inspiring. It's not. So we're replacing jealousy with inspiration.
Those are from abundance, where the jealousy and envy come from scarcity. So they're saying there's only this much of the pie, and I'm not getting that pie. Where admiration and like inspiration are from the side of abundance, and so
We just get a bigger pie.
yes, we're just
Little
continuing.
pie for everyone, and there's more pie.
And so when we were young, and we didn't fight over boys, or we didn't.
It's kind of weird.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't know if that was just the uniqueness.
We had maturity beyond measure because
We did not for EQ. We just came to the table. I don't know. But we don't. But even though it's different now, we had our things back then that we could have been like a lot of different people. Because I know your children have said things to you about wedding friends like you have. My sons say that to me. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's different, but we still had our things. And I don't know why. I'm like, when I try to articulate it, I'm like, I don't know why we didn't choose to go down that route. I'm just so grateful that we didn't. And we didn't fight over petty things that I see other people choosing to fight over.
Well, and let's talk about what we can say definitively are the gifts from having chosen that child of behavior. I mean, now I think that's why we are so strong and such a
Any like dark period where things were toxic or like people aren't speaking. There's never been like.
Well, there were times when certain people fell off the face of the earth. I'm not going to say that. You guys just let me fall away for a little bit.
Maybe it went back to the foundational.
Yeah.
Foundational base, though, like we were saying. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe if you align with people who at least have the same foundation,
same values. Like,
That make you better.
and then you can then foster some of these things better than when you.
and we have had times of retreating as we've either gone through experiences that have been hard, or like when I lived so far away and I wasn't as involved as I am able to be now. But I think when you come back to, we talked about that acceptance that we've had. We've given each other a lot of room and space to go through what we needed to go through, and always have room at the table at the end of the day.
Well, and there's always time. So if you do think like that and you are envious and jealous of people, notice it and there's time to change those habits. There's times there you can change those qualities, you know? You can purchase them for me.
Barbie. Or I think that's a easy one though up here.
First there's a membership and that, no, yeah, totally do that.
I think it's super important to, as you're wanting these friendships, if we're talking to anyone out there or our kids or anything, to really look at and choose those qualities. Like, go through this list, maybe yeah, I don't know, but the ones that are most important to you, and just start to look and try and find people with those
And be those qualities, because you attract those qualities.
yeah.
And then the good people come towards you when you're.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
It really truly is. And things to attract what you want, who you are.
And life.
And if none of us are bringing up something in particular, then maybe it is just choosing people that have a similar foundation. But then it's fun enough for that, and I don't know. But and then have the things that you can grow and have that are different and learn from each other. I think that's super important in your friendships, to be able to expand and grow. But we are foundationally similar. I'm just trying to think why we ended up so different. Because I don't have the Angeles. We just have a lot.
We don't have a lot of love as displayed on the table today. Okay, well, we have taken a good amount of time, so I think what we're going to do is a part 2 that you can anticipate. We will discuss in our part 2 the list of qualities that you don't want in a friendship, the things that you just are not looking for, that you want to stay away from. We'll come back and talk about in a part 2 of this podcast. So
I'm not going to do that part, I don't think. So can I add one?
Yes, I do. Let's hear it.
Word. So
I'll talk about favorite life. That's our another project. Wearing a sweater. Don't deny it.
I did not get this list because I didn't know for sure if I was coming or not. So I haven't looked at this list. And when I was driving here, I happened to think about, I wonder what should talk about. What do I think about these girls? What are some things? And I was thinking, I'm like, well, everyone's really smart. Everyone's really driven. There's a whole bunch of discipline in this group. So people have taken their path, whatever that path is, and we've been friends long enough to see that path and be able to experience that together. I was thinking of all these wonderful things, how much fun we have and how important that has been, and interlaced and everything as well, how we listen to each other. And my thing, and I cannot believe it wasn't one of these things, and that's why I wanted to add it here. None will get me emotional. Because everyone has all of those things here, and our friends that aren't sitting here as well. But the loyalty to me,
In here.
loyalty to me is enormous, and he's such a, I keep such a short. The people that are loyal in my life, it's a much shorter list than people I can maybe go have fun with or do that. I think some of these other things. And I'm sure that's a trait that also comes with age, that you value that more. But when I was thinking about all of you, and maybe a story or this or that, it It was loyalty. And I started, and I'm like, it's that we are loyal to one another and not to a fault, not that we don't help each other look in the mirror and grow and see ourselves. But then we help each other see the positive so much more and go and listen to each other and then don't share. All of those things to me come back to loyalty. And I am just so grateful for you guys for all of these things that we've talked about, but also that at the end of the day, I know if I called at 2 a.m., you're getting in a car. Like it's not even a question. I would
Ride it. Because we've done those things. Like wheels or butts.
Because we've done those things. And it's short. The list is short. The list is short. So
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm for that ride.
I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
can you tell we have stories? Just thank you. Because loyalty to me is huge.
Yeah. No, I love that. That's a great way to end this segment because it is such an important quality and a great word to summarize our friendship. So, our pretty sisters listening, this will hopefully give you some ideas of things to cultivate, whether that's in yourself or as you're looking for friends. I know sometimes some of you might be in new situations where you've moved or you at a new phase of life, or maybe if you're younger, you're leaving high school and headed to college. There's all of those times of transition. And it's often in those moments where you're seeking friendships and making new friends. And so hopefully this list gives you some ideas of what you're looking for to think about, both as you're seeking these friendships and cultivating in yourself that will be helpful to you. But know this as we part, that you are pretty, that you are worthy of friendship, of love, of sisterhood. And that is what hopefully we're demonstrating to you. That's been such a gift in our life. And it can be a gift in your life too, as you embrace these qualities and look for them in others. So thank you for joining the podcast this week. We'll be back with you next week as we talk about the things you don't want to find in friendships. And until then, stay pretty and have a good week.